We know the fruits of the Spirit are like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. Um, I think I'm missing one in there. Anyways, when I look at those fruits, um, self-control is last. But in order to have love or in order to have joy and peace, you have to have self-control. And what I mean by that is, you know, for me to cultivate as the wife, even though I'm single right now, but as a wife, the wife sets the atmosphere in the home. That's actually in scripture. And so as a wife, we cultivate this atmosphere. And so in order to cultivate an atmosphere, you have to exude peace. How do we exude peace? By spending time with the Lord. He is the peacemaker. He is the one that brings peace, right? So I was thinking about a conversation I had a while back with some people, and they waited to have sex before marriage. Sorry, I'm shaking my phone. They waited to have sex before marriage. And so they're telling me the story, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Good job. That's what we're supposed to do. It's in the Bible. And I admired them because, as many of you know, I wanted to wait for marriage, and I was in a relationship, really fell for this guy, very lustful situation. That guy ended up being my husband, and I was 8 months pregnant out on our wedding day. Don't recommend it. Wasn't cute at all. Anyways, and so when I'm listening to them and the fact that they waited, I'm like, that's wonderful. But then the husband proceeds to say, I wish we didn't. I wish we didn't wait. And I want to unpack that. The reason why he said this is because his wife was far more experienced than he was. He was a virgin, she was not. And so when they entered into marriage, there was so much more knowledge she had in the sexual realm that he did not, and he felt inadequate. And so the enemy was using this experience that she had to intimidate him. And I looked at him and I said, that's like, you should be thankful you waited, because you eliminated so many more issues that you would have encountered entering into a marriage had you not waited. And I said, the biggest thing that waiting before marriage teaches you, one of the biggest things, is having self-control. And you have to have self-control in marriage as well. Just because you have a spouse and you're able to have sex with them anytime you want, you still have to have self-control. There are still going to be outside people that come in and try to tempt you, or people, like you're seeing their relationship and you're comparing, or if your spouse let themselves go and they've gained tons of weight. Like, there are so many factors that play into marriage where the enemy, before you get married, wants you to have so much sex, and then once you get married, he wants you to not have sex with your spouse. He tries to abstain that relationship in ways that are detrimental. And so I was reading in scripture, 1 Corinthians 7, chapter 7, verse 4. Sorry if this is hard for a lot of you to hear, but it's just real life. So a wife does not have the right over her own body, but her husband does. In the same way, a husband does not have the right over his body, but his wife does. Do not deprive one another. And that's exactly what the enemy tries to do. Once you get married, he tries to deprive that intimacy with your spouse. God designed sex for man and woman. He designed sex for husband and wife. And so what the enemy will do is, once you get married, he'll try to do everything in his power to separate that place of intimacy. And so, and I just think back to that conversation with that friend, and self-control is so important, and it's also so obtainable. Like, I'm a single woman right now. Like, the elephant in the room is I used to be married and I used to could have sex, right? And then now all of a sudden, all of that is gone. And I haven't navigated singleness like completely 100% well. But what I will say is, I understand and I've gained the knowledge and the wisdom that, like, oh, I can be I can have self-control though. Like I can have self-control in this season. I can abstain from all sexual interaction. And I'm there and I'm here. And the thing is like, was this an easy process? Absolutely not. But it's also so important to understand that we can have self-control before entering into a marriage, because entering into a marriage, you still have to have self-control. So I don't know who this is for, but I was reading this scripture and I was like, I need to share this. Especially with those that have been married for a long period of time and you're not even intimate with your partner, partner being your husband or your wife. Like, the enemy attacks that so much, and so we just have to be cognizant. We have to be careful that, like, we're still doing that with our spouse, because they deserve that. They deserve that from us. We deserve that. Our marriage deserves that. It's important. Or your marriage. I'm not married, I'm single, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, fight for your marriage.